Hi, I'm Christy Slakis here with Courtnie Gore of Z Family Law. We are two of the attorneys here at Z Family Law, along with Ina Loring and Amanda Townsend. And we are here today to talk to you a little bit about pet custody. So as part of our Dog Days of Summer fundraiser, we said that we would bring you some education, and that is what we are doing here today. So, Courtnie, what are some common questions that we get about pet custody?
Well, we get a lot because essentially pets are people's children. They're your fur babies. And so one of the questions that we often get is what happens once we decide to separate? How can I make sure that I can keep my fur babies with me full time without any type of meddling from the person that I'm trying to separate from?
Oh, good Lord, that's a really tough one, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, so, let's talk about that a little bit. So let's break this down into two separate things. What if you're separating but never married? And what if you are married?
Mm-hmm.
So the easiest one is separating if you were never married. If you purchased or adopted the animal and it is your name solely that is on the paperwork, that animal stays with you. Unfortunately, courts have still not decided that animals are people, still not yet. They are property, and as such, they go by who owns them. And if you own your dog or your cat or your fish, they are your property. And I know it breaks my heart to say it. I have 3 fur babies of my own. I have 2 dogs and a cat, and we have our firm dogs here.
Yes.
We love our firm dogs, but they are in fact property here. So if you are in a relationship and you and your partner decide that you're going to adopt an animal, really be careful and think about whose name is going on that paperwork. Same thing with when you register the animal with the veterinarian, when you register the animal with the county. And I know a lot of people forget to do that, but don't forget, you got to register your animal with the county. And when you do, if you want that animal to remain yours, make sure that your name is on that license. Now, what happens if you're not married and both names are on it? Whew, you're still going to have a really tough time. If both names are on it, then technically you both own the property. It's unfortunately the same as if you both own a car and both of your names are on it. The only answer there is to force a sale of the property in question and split the proceeds. Now, I don't want to be fatalistic here, but this is a little Solomon for me. You don't want that to happen to your animal. You don't want your animal to be sold, and I know that that's a really far-fetched notion. Most of the time, somebody's going to cave before then, and somebody has to. Now, it's a little different when you get married. So if you purchase an animal during the marriage, well, that's marital property, regardless of how it's titled. Marital property is subject to division. So this is something, if you are not yet married, put it in your prenup. If you're married, consider it in your postnup. We all know how much I love prenup. But this is one of those things you really want to think about.
Absolutely.
What's going to happen to the fur babies, because they're property. And so if you're married and you're getting a divorce, marital property is subject to division. Now, if the animal, the dog, the cat, the fish, the ferret, the, whatever it may be, is in your name, there might be a really good answer for you keeping the animal, but potentially giving half the value of the animal to the other side. And I hate to say value of the animal, but it's so hard. Courtnie, in one case I had, I worked with somebody who bred show dogs. A specific type of show dog. Okay. And they were not just arguing about the value of that dog. They were actually arguing about the value of the future puppies.
Oh, wow.
It was a male dog.
Yeah.
That we were
I was going
questioning.
to say, who
so
was
it
a male or
was
female?
stud fees. But they were arguing about the future stud fees and whether or not those would need to be split in the future. This gets really complicated. So again, prenup, postnup. Don't forget it.
Prenup, postnup.
All right, so these are the general answers. Is generally you're going to have to divide. But what about if you want to share custody? What if you want to share it like you would with a kid, back and forth, all that kind of stuff? What are some things that people would need to think about?
Well, everything that Christy has said, if you're about to get married or you're about to enter into a relationship, of course, the preventative work, prenup, the licenses, make sure they're registered in your name. But if you're in the process and you're like, look, we've already passed that point and we're looking, I love my fur babies and I want them with me. And so I want to fight for custody of this particular animal. First, what we as Z Family Law would challenge you to do is think about what's in the best interest of the animal, right? You can love them, adore them, appreciate them, but would it be in the best interest for you to go to court and to argue and to fight over this over your animal when the courts will see it as property, essentially. And if you're really trying to separate, if you're really trying to create your new chapter, which we encourage, you will have to mitigate and talk to your spouse
all
about
the time.
Everything.
All the time. What happens if the
Everything.
pet gets a cough?
Oh my goodness.
I say that because I have a little bit of asthma going on right now.
Oh.
But, what if your dog gets kennel cough? Who takes the dog to the vet? Who pays for the vet? Who pays for the medication? Who decides if the dog's allowed to take medication? If you're sharing, you're going to have to talk about those things.
Right. Everything from the type of food they eat to their behavioral patterns. Some people don't like their cats on the counter, and then you get over mom's house and cat does what they want, right? And so you have to think about those things in the best interest of the animal. I know here at Z Family Law, Christy, one of the cases that you've been successful in is where a couple just had to call it quits. They knew it was the end and they shared an animal. And instead of trying to fight for custody, Christy provided an alternative. And that alternative was really great, I think. If you want to share.
What we did in that case was we had one spouse who, both spouses loved this animal, loved and adored this animal beyond words. And they knew it would be better to not have the animal going back and forth. They had very different pet parenting styles, and they didn't want the pet to be confused. They knew it was going to be tough. So one pet parent said goodbye, but they put in their agreement that the one that got to keep the animal, had to provide updates on a yearly basis with photos of the animal, and also the pet parent that was saying goodbye got to send birthday gifts to the animal.
That's so sweet.
So they sent little toys and care packages and things like that. I know it's not the same as living with the animal, but again, I go back to Solomon. They put that dog who they knew had some anxiety and they knew would have a tough time going back and forth with two different families, two different sets of rules, two different dog walkers, two different, everything from food to rules to backyards and smells, and they put that animal first. And good parents, good pet parents, it's hard, but they do it.
They do. They absolutely do.
So, things to think about and things to take home. If you are going to share custody, meaning you and your co-pet parent agree, it can work. I have seen it work. I know we're sitting here poo-pooing it and saying, no, don't do it. The reality is it doesn't work all that often. A lot of times people end up back in litigation. Some of the more horrible ones that I've seen are things like, what if either your dog bites another dog, or God forbid, a child or a human,
right?
And it didn't happen on your watch, but now you're responsible. You are legally responsible, or could be legally responsible if you guys co-own that dog and are responsible for that. What happens, another one I saw where a cat broke their leg. A cat broke their leg, and do you know how expensive a cat breaking their leg is?
I was going to say, goodness.
It's about $6,000. It's about $6,000. If you have to set it and reset it. In this case, it was a kitten, and that's part of it because the kitten was growing. So it's about $6,000. And if that happens on the other pet parent's time, should you be responsible for it? If you weren't letting them on the counters. So really have a detailed plan. Make sure that you agree how medical expenses are going to be paid for, how they're going to be decided, and have a contingency plan if the animal is not doing well anxiety-wise, if it's too much for them. So it can work, but be careful. Everything is in the details. Having a clearly spelled out written agreement, ideally with the help of an attorney or a mediator, is going to really help that.
Absolutely.
So it can work, but there's a lot to look out for. At the end of the day, we all love our fur babies. All of us love them. And you want what's best for them. So keep in mind, what's best for them may not be what's best for you. So in conclusion, if you have not yet donated to the Montgomery County Humane Society, please do so. If you are looking for your own fur baby, I, along with Megan Parlett at my law firm, recently went over and got to meet some of those cuties, and oh my gosh, are they cute. I wanted to take them all home, but
so sweet.
I think I have enough for now. But if you are looking for a new member of your family, a new furry member of your family, there are some great ones there right now. So please donate and take a screenshot, send it to hello@zfamilylaw.com, and you can enter our raffle to win a gift card to Big Bad Wolf. Also, go to bigbadwolf.com, and wolf is spelled WOOF for those of you who don't know, but go to bigbadwolf.com. You can buy anything you need for your fur babies, anything at all. Put in the code ZFamily, all lowercase, and you will be donating a portion of your proceeds to the Montgomery County Humane Society. and Z Family Law will be matching those donations up to $2,500.
Mm-hmm.
So let's help the fur babies and enjoy
Yeah.
the dog days of summer 2021. Thank you.
Thank you.